was 16 years old, I was sentenced to 24 years in prison, and I thought my life was over.
Sean's story is unique, but it's not uncommon. We hear stories like Sean's every day at Hudson Link for Higher Education in Prison, which provides college education and reentry support to men and women incarcerated in New York. Our state has 52,000 incarcerated people, and they all have their own story. But they also many have something in common. Almost 40% come to prison without so much as a high school diploma, let alone any experience in college.
I remember walking into that first cell block. It's the largest cell block in the country. It was a new world for me. I truly thought my life was over. I couldn't envision spending the next 24 years there. As I was sitting there feeling very sorry for myself, I had let my community down, my family down, and myself. One of the officers knocked on the bars as I was sitting there feeling very sorry for myself, and he asked for my help. I truly thought he was just messing with me. How could I possibly help him? I was in the 9th grade when I got arrested. He said, "You're one of the most educated men here." He said, "If you can volunteer and help some of these other men learn to read and write, it would be very helpful." Selfishly, I just wanted to get out of my cell. We were in the cells 23 hours a day. So, went down to a dungeon-like basement called the prison library and read to men that were older than me and didn't know how to read and write. During that process, I also finished my high school diploma. And then when I had the opportunity, went to college.
That was in the late 80s and early 90s when college was actually very accessible in prisons across the country. But in 1994, President Clinton signed a bill that took away incarcerated people's eligibility for Pell Grants, which were the primary funding mechanisms for the programs that were available at that time. Within a year of that legislation being passed, the number of college programs available in prisons across the country went from 350 to less than a dozen.
I had 118 credits and no degree when the programs were taken away. Just putting it in context, as a 16-year-old going into this place, there's no special prison for teenagers. In New York, it's one of only 2 states that sentence their teenagers as adults. So as I was there trying to figure out my next move, I wasn't really too worried that college didn't end, I didn't finish my diploma. I'm one of 5 boys growing up, and the only one that went to prison, but also the only one who went to college. So for me, I was just proud that I had gone that far. As that unfolded and I got a chance to think about the rippling effect of what I was doing, I didn't know what my future really looked like.
A group of men at Sing Sing, where Sean was incarcerated at the time, saw the effect that the college programs leaving had on the facility. They saw an increase in hopelessness, an increase in violence. And they wrote to a group of academic and religious volunteers and worked with the prison administration to get a program started. Sean eventually graduated with that program in 2001, and it would come to be known as Hudson Link for Higher Education in Prison. In the 2 decades since then, that's grown from one class of 16 men at one prison to over almost 600 men and women at 6 prisons across New York State. We make this happen by partnering with local colleges and universities to bring associate and bachelor's degree programs into the facilities where our students complete the same work, they're held to the same academic rigor standard, and professors are paid the same amount as they would be on campus. The best part is that anyone who wants to go to college can do it with Hudson Link. We don't screen out based on someone's crime, how much time they have left, and if you're not academically ready to succeed, we have a pre-college component that will get you there. A pre-college component that, by the way, was designed by one of our own students. 60% of our staff are graduates of our program who have come home and made a successful transition. So we're really proud of that. But we're even more proud of our results, which are absolutely stunning. We've had 650 people go through our program and be released, and of those 650, only 9 have ever gone back to prison on a new conviction. 9. That's right. That's less than 2%, a recidivism rate of less than 2%, which compares to almost 68% across the country. And we do all of this for less than $3,000 per student per year.
You're right, that is impressive. When I walked out of prison after nearly 2 decades, I had lived in 9 different max prisons over that time. I only served 16 of the 24 years, so I was blessed to get out early, and I did have a bachelor's degree. But my game plan as I walked out of prison was to get a job where I could eat, and I bussed tables for the next 6 months. To me, even though I had gotten a degree and was very proud of that work, I didn't believe it. It wasn't real to me. And that's the job since then that has been way more important than getting a college diploma, was letting our students realize that there is a part 2 to this, and second chances are a part of that.
So we're here today to ask you to reject the tired belief that people can't change. You see it on TV all the time, right? If you meet a formerly incarcerated person, we want you to welcome them into your community, welcome them into your place of worship. If you interview a formerly incarcerated person for a job, hear what they've done, hear their story with an open mind, and ask them and listen, really listen to what they've done to change their future and transform their lives.
I'm not supposed to be here right now. Statistically, 68% of the men and women in this country go back to prison in the first 3 years. I'm supposed to be back in prison. Instead, I'm here in a suit telling you that if you believe in second chances, think of me. If you believe in second chances, think of Hudson Link and what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.